안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 제가 이 발표를 한국말로 한 적이 없어갖고 아쉽게도 오늘 영어로 해야 되겠습니다. 그래도 다행히 통역이 있어서 다행입니다. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to this forum here. I'm very thankful for the organizers, and I'm standing next to distinguished speakers. So I'm very privileged to come here and give a talk. So as an educator, I will share with you some of my insights from my own experiences and the landscape that I have seen in the education space. So many of you already know Alvin Toffler. He said the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think it comes down to this one point. Can we reboot our thinking? Do we have that capability? I think that is the question. Oftentimes, it is hard to change old habits, the customs, the tradition, but we have to sometimes think about ourselves. Do we have that button in our mind? Can we reboot our thinking at some point? Obviously, the technological advancement rate always exceeds human perception and behavioral change rate. What it means is that technology will continue to advance so quickly before we even understand what it is that's changing around us, right? So just to give you an example, new AI tool helps teachers tackle math problem. And this news was released on October 12th. Very recent news, right? They're doing something with AI. China wants to bring artificial intelligence to its classrooms to boost its education system. This news was released on October 14th, right? New incubator program at Paul Allen's AI Institute accepts English learning startup. This news was released on October 26th, several days ago, right? And Eaton for all. Will robot teachers mean everyone gets an elite education? October 2nd. So all these news are coming out about AI, artificial intelligence, and natural language understanding, and so forth. Technological advancement is never stopping. It is just continuously going so fast. And as a human being, how do we accept all these changes? And how do we transform our thinking to understand them and leverage them in our lives? So Rupert said that the world is changing very fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It will be the fast beating the slow. It kind of gives us an idea. You don't have to be big to be successful. I think what matters more these days is you have to be fast. You have to be nimble. You have to be able to understand the changes fast and transform your mind and reboot your thinking as needed. So how will new collar jobs be formed? We've been talking about blue collar jobs and white collar jobs and so forth, but I think there's a whole new generation of collar jobs. What are they? How many of you seen this painting? Raise your hand. How many of you? Many of you probably have seen this painting. This painting was done by artificial intelligence. People said that computers cannot do creative things. I guess they were wrong. Computers can do creative things. All you have to do is give them a few keywords and they come up with a Van Gogh style painting. And this painting was auctioned off at San Francisco. Amazing. And someone said that computers cannot do creative things again, but they now make music. This is a music title that was composed by artificial intelligence. So computers can do creative things as well, ladies and gentlemen. You have to understand that. Computers can do a lot of different things, and probably beyond our imagination. And we've been teaching math to our students, calculus and differential equations and all those things. So what? You just have to have this little mobile app, take a picture of that problem. It gives you how to solve that problem. It gives you the answer as well. Do we need to teach our kids calculus anymore? I'm not sure. Georgia Tech, they hired artificial intelligence TA, teaching assistant. And so students were interacting with the TA for a while, for about a semester long, and some students thought that this was a real TA and asked for a date. Amazing. People weren't ready for that sort of change. If you go to Amazon warehouse, you are not going to see too many people working there because they have these robots sorting the products, packaging them, and shipping them. How many people do you see in this picture? You see a lot of robots, but you don't see anybody working there. Now, robots can do farming better than humans nowadays. They can do things more accurately, and they can cook for you. If you ask them, you just give them a menu item and they'll bring your food. In fact, they do bring your food. So that's the way things are happening. What are you going to do about it? McKinsey did a study that compared the number of skills required to be effective workforce between 2009 and 2012. They found that people need to learn 5 times more skills. Now it is 2017. Probably we need to have about 15 times more skill sets to be effective at workplace. We have a serious problem. There is something that's happening at the same time. What used to be a privilege for a small group of elite learners has become a disposable learning resource for all. What it means is that if you find these courses, I think there's a speaker from edX as well, you can take these courses for free, many of them for free. Courses from Harvard, MIT, Stanford, etc. These courses were available for only elite students in the past, but now they are available for you. All you have to do is just find it, click it, register, take this course, get your certificate. There are other providers like Coursera. You could take these courses. Again, from Johns Hopkins and UPenn, San Diego, so many courses. And if you want a certificate, you can pay a little bit of money and then get your certificate as well. Here's another provider, Udacity. By the way, Coursera and Udacity came from where? Stanford University. So they have course titles such as natural language processing, artificial intelligence, driverless cars, etc. So many of these courses available at your fingertip. Gandhi said that live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. We're going to be living a very long time. The research says that the life expectancy is increasing. So many of you in this room today probably live beyond 100. Do you like that? Right? What are you going to do for your life if you're going to be living that long? We have to continuously reboot our thinking and learn, unlearn, and relearn. And so here's my statement. Lifelong learning is the new privilege for all. It's not a privilege for a certain group of people or elite group of people anymore. It is for all. Stanford University offers this course, Computer Science 101, self-paced. Every member of my family took this course and got this certificate. This certificate, for free. Didn't have to pay a dime. Only person who did not take this free course is me. I didn't take this course, but all of my family members taken this course and have taken advantage of this free certificate program. A lot of people think that coding is really important, computer science, obviously, yes. And I think the Korean government is integrating coding as a regular part of the curriculum starting next year, if I'm not wrong. Yes, coding is very important, but there are so many other skill sets that are equally important and increasingly important as well. And in fact, 65% of children in elementary school today will have jobs that do not exist today. Wow. 65% of children in schools today will have jobs that do not exist today. So how do we prepare them? For what jobs? That is a big question. And who are the new customers in 10 years? So just in 10 years, what you're going to see in the job market. But what are they doing now? How many of you played with Legos when you were young? Legos. How many of you played with Legos? Many hands, right? I also played with Legos when I was young as well. That's the old-fashioned way. Nowadays, children are playing with the Legos with embedded computers in them. Imagine what these kids will be able to create when they grow up, right? These are different types of Legos. Now, third graders in Korea, they are designing a whole new traffic system. Third graders, elementary school, third graders. They are using Arduino board, they are learning Python, the programming language, and designing a whole new city with a new traffic system. Third graders are building new parking system for pregnant women. Isn't that beautiful, these little kids, third graders, building these new cities? What were you doing in third grade when you think back in your school days? What were you doing in your third grade? Right? And these children get this little ICT kit. Now look at carefully. There is a little the kit, it has a little micro drone with a video camera attached. So these kids, third graders, are programming this drone to fly around your house every 10 minutes and compare the video footage to see if there's any intruder coming to your house. Isn't that amazing? Third graders, they're coming to the market. And if you don't like the real hardware, don't worry about it. If you think they're expensive, don't worry about it, because there is very cheap virtual reality-based Arduino board. You can program all your electronic components in the VR space, and you can crash your cars, you can build things and blow up things, but nothing happens in the real world. That's the reality today. This picture is from a 5th grade classroom, and I took that picture myself. These kids are performing laparoscopic procedure on heart surgery with 3D printed human heart. 3D printed human heart. They are practicing this laparoscopic procedure. What were you doing in 5th grade? Remember what you did in your 5th grade? Again, compare that with this scene. Classroom of today. We have these kids growing up and getting ready to take a whole new job. So in my view, makerspace is the new school of the future. How many of you know this little child who printed 3D printed hands for child without hands, who are born without hand? So this little girl started to print hands for thousands and thousands of children who are born without hands. Isn't that beautiful? This student had the imagination of helping others who had a difficulty and started to help with a 3D printer, with that simple concept. Any of our students can be an innovator, an entrepreneur. So designer is the new student of the future. I think every student needs to be a designer, solving problems. So future lifelong learners are the designers and makers who must create their own jobs again and again and again. They are not the kinds of students who will wait for jobs to be created. They are the ones who are going out to create jobs. And they are going to be creating their own science experiments with 3D printers. And they're going to be solving problems around the world. Very, very interdisciplinary problems. Problem-based learning, project-based learning, team projects, etc. You're not going to have your children learning from discrete subjects anymore. And I believe the Korean government is also working very hard to create integrative learning environment and curriculum too. I think that is very welcoming. And what is becoming possible with a lot of electronic components like mobile phones and electronic devices around you, you can gather a lot of digital footprints. It means data. When you get lots of data, it becomes big data, and you can use them to analyze how your student is performing in your school and outside of school as well. But we still have a problem. The big problem is our perception. Perception still supersedes reality. This is what I mean. If you look at these two pictures, which one do you like better? The picture on the left, two young girls reading a book together, and this little boy on the right looking at his mobile phone. What ideas come to your mind? You probably like the one on the left, the picture on the left, because they seem to be learning something. That looks beautiful, right? But in fact, this boy was documenting his own science experiment. He's using his mobile phone with all the apps and sensors, documenting it and presenting it and then sharing with his peers. That's what's happening in classrooms. But we still like the picture with the kids reading a book, because that looks like learning, that smells like learning, that sounds like learning, right? So what are you going to do about that? And we hear about the flipped classrooms and flipping this and flipping that, but here's my idea. If you're flipping in the same box, you're still in the box. It doesn't matter how many times you're flipping around, you are still in the box. And that is sort of an approach to solve old problems in the education industry. I think that a lot of companies that are interested in doing online education or education technology solutions development, etc. They're still focused on delivery, displaying, and teaching. And many of science education curriculum are still scripted and focused on passive learning. And I think that we have a lot of work to do. Probably many of you are familiar with the OLPC, one laptop per child project. Giving a laptop to a child, that's an amazing idea. Was it successful? I'm not sure. I was an evaluator for one of these projects, and I found out that 75% of those notebooks were still in boxes, not opened, and not shared, and not used. What a waste. One tablet per child. Thailand started to do this project several years ago, giving a tablet to each child. They were thinking that this will change education, this will transform their education system, but it was another big failure as well. One robot per child, that is coming. Probably somebody will start this project very soon, giving one robot to each child, imagining that, maybe giving a robot will do a good job or do something magical in classrooms. I would say if it is still focused on delivery, display, scripted, passive learning, there would not be any success. Maybe one assistant per child is coming. Maybe a couple of years, we'll be giving the Alexa Echo, Amazon Echo Alexa, to every child. Maybe, but this is not ready. I don't think the technology is ready yet. Because if you ask this little box, what is turbulence? It will give you a good definition of what turbulence is. But if you ask, why is turbulence dangerous for airplanes? Alexa will say, I don't understand your question. That's the level of intelligence today. But probably it will change very soon. A Harvard professor, Paul Harris, did a study, and he looked at the number of questions that children ask. Children, the age between 2 and 5, they ask about 40,000 questions. But as they grow, and then as they go to school, the number of questions they ask drops drastically. That is sad. The more they go to school, they ask less questions. By the time they go to college and by the time they get to work, they don't ask questions. They follow orders. They follow instructions. How sad is that? Maybe this is what we are doing in school. We are teaching Alexas to memorize a lot of facts so that they can answer your questions. But that's not what we want in school. Einstein said, it's not that I'm so smart, but I stay with the questions much longer. Einstein even recognized the importance of questioning. And Google has this system called Dory. You've probably seen this movie, Finding Nemo. And there's a blue fish named Dory, which asks questions constantly. So they adopted this system so that all the employees at Google ask questions and they evaluate each other's questions. And whichever questions gets to the top is answered by the CEO. I'm impressed by Google's work, not just the system, but their culture of questioning. So a great question is the new innovation, and that is my statement. I just wanted to share how important questions are. So I developed this system called SMILE, Stanford Mobile Inquiry-Based Learning Environment. You could go to this site by going to smile.stanford.edu, and you can join this activity. Basically, I am asking students to create questions, and I look at their questions to see how much they know or don't know. That is how the system works in the classroom. This is an example of two questions. One is the early question. The one on the left-hand side is the very first session on SMILE. The one on the right-hand side is 36th session of SMILE. If you look at the first question that was developed by these first graders, these are first grade, elementary school, first graders. As you can see, those questions have flaws, and spelling errors, etc. But if you look at the question on the right, after 36 sessions, you can see that they have created this interesting question. It is not just a math question, it is algebra. Algebra is not taught until 5th grade, but first graders can do this if you give them the opportunity to do so. Since I get millions of questions coming my way, I had to use IBM Watson to classify these questions using natural language processing. And this is a photo from Stanford. Students are using this system to create questions. In Silicon Valley classroom, they are generating their own questions. Not just answering questions, but they are generating their own questions. Indonesia, they're generating questions and sharing with their peers. India, they are creating questions. And I ask them, why did you come up with this question? And they said, our textbook is missing this important question. I love their answer. In Ghana, they're creating these questions, and parents were worried. What if they are not passing their national exam? I understand that this project like this promotes critical thinking, but what if they fail their national exam? So I had to answer that question by getting the students to use the national exam contents to do critical thinking and generate their own questions as well. In Ethiopia, these two questions, one on the left was the very first session of the fifth grade students asking, when was Ethiopia invaded by fascist Italy? This is a factual, simple, recall question. After 6 months, the question on the right, they're asking this question: does our Constitution protect women's right? That is the difference that this SMILE system can make. Since I wanted to share this SMILE learning experience with the children in the developing countries as well, I created this little Raspberry Pi system that runs on a battery, so I can distribute them to places where there's no electricity, no internet, but they have this system to create their own contents. But we have a problem. Our brain finds ways to reduce our mental workload, and one way is to accept without questioning. If there's an easy button and hard button, we always like to press easy buttons. Students, teachers, administrators, everybody likes the easy button. But I think that critical thinking comes with a price. You have to sometimes press the hard button, because if you want challenge, that's the way to do it. So that's the habit loop that we have. We always like to find easier way to do things, accepting things without questioning. So Robin says that the change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. I really agree with it. Changing is hard. Transformation is very difficult and challenging at first, but it gets better. And if you want something you've never had, then you've got to do something you've never done. For example, how many of you know Dick Fosbury, this Olympic game jumper? In 1968 in Mexico City, this gentleman jumped backward for the first time in human history. When he was practicing jumping, everybody was laughing at him. Why are you jumping backward? That's awkward. That's terrible. But he insisted, and he jumped backward, and he won gold medal. And since then, nobody jumps forward. Everybody jumps backward. Right? He made a history. How many of you know this little girl, Gabby Schul? This little girl had a cancer on her leg, so she had to cut off her leg. But she saved her foot. But she had a dream. She had a dream to be a dancer. How many of you can survive cancer and amputation, double challenges in your life? It is a very difficult. But what I'm trying to say is that for educators and students, we need to train students and teachers to be having grits, not giving up the challenges. And eventually, this girl became a dancer. So the point is that you never give up your dreams. I know change is hard. I know things are changing very fast, but we have to have that ability to reboot our thinking and never give up. Thank you for your attention.